Welcome back to the channel, boys. Fabloonski's coming at your neck with this Glacial Harvest aspect build. And now with this build, we're going to try to utilize the new aspect from Season of the Splicer for the Warlock, Glacial Harvest. Now with this harvest, as long as you're freezing enemies, it's going to create stasis shards, which give you melee energy in return whenever you pick those up. We also got a little bit of warmind cell action. We have a really high discipline and recovery as well. So let me just go ahead and jump right into this build. So obviously we're going to utilize Shadebinder. We have our cold snap grenades because they freeze instantly as opposed to the dust shield or the glacial grenade. Although glacial grenades can work, I think cold snap grenades are the best ones for this build. Now as for our aspects, you do have an option here. I personally love ice flare bolts. Of course we got to use glacial harvest, but if you're not a fan of ice flare bolts or you want to try and switch it up, I found that bleak watcher was a nice substitution for this build because I do have 100 discipline. I feel like bleach watcher would be very good for like high-end nightfall activities like GMs or masters, something like that. But for anything like override, battlegrounds, anything where there's just a lot of ads, I found that ice flare bolts was the better option. But again, it's completely up to you. Both of them have 2 fragment slots, so it really doesn't matter here. As for my fragments, you got Whisper of Torment, so I get grenade energy whenever I take damage. Now here is where things can get a little interesting. Right now we have on Whisper of Hedron, so that way I get that weapon damage buff whenever I freeze a target. It takes away 10 strength. But recently in a TWAB they said that they're changing Whisper of Hedrons. Now I don't know if they're changing it for PvE because this TWAB was specifically focused on PvP. They said that they're going to remove the damage buff and give you like weapon stability. I think it said weapon handling, and then it's going to increase some stats like mobility, recovery, and I think it said resilience. But I don't know if that's only for PvP or if that's just for PvE and PvP. Now let's just say that if this is for the entire game, PvE and PvP, a good substitution here would be Whisper of Refraction, so that way defeating a slowed or frozen target will give you your class ability back. So in case that Whisper of Hedrons is changed and you don't get the weapon damage buff, I would highly recommend using Whisper of Refractions here. As for my other fragments, we're using Whisper of Hunger, so that way I get increased melee energy from picking up those stasis shards. And then we have Whisper of Conduction, so that way those stasis shards do track to my position, so I don't have to run around and constantly collect them. As for my loadout, I'm using Fatebringer. Absolutely love this gun. I got Rewind Around I can't even say that. Rewind Around and Firefly. Honestly, you don't really have to use this gun. You can use, it's probably better off to use a gun with Demolitionist, but I got this gun and I really want to use it, so that's why we're using the Fatebringer. Now here's where you don't really have that much flexibility. We're using Truth Teller and we're using Deathbringer. Now the reason we're using 2 void weapons is because I do have on Warminds Decree. Let's go ahead and go over this mod real quick. Void splash damage final blows have a chance to create Warmind cells. So if I'm getting a bunch of ad clears with Deathbringer or with Truth Teller, I could potentially spawn a Warmind cell and clear even more ads. As for my stats, we got 16 mobility, literally don't care. 33 resilience, literally don't care. Now we have 101 recovery and 104 discipline. These 2 things are very, very important because I don't have another way to get grenade energy as opposed to taking damage, but I don't have any other mods to get grenade energy in return. And then recovery is how I'm going to use my rift, which then is going to allow me to use my melee even more. So having 100 recovery, 100 discipline is very, very important for this build. 32 intellect, this isn't a super build, I don't care. And then we have 38 strength. I'm going to make up for this by all the other ways I'm going to generate melee energy. Now let's go ahead and move on to the mods. We got a minor recovery mod. We got rocket launcher ammo finder and grenade launcher ammo finder, so I can take advantage of Warmind's Decree. And then we also have blast radius, only costs 1 mod slot, and I become charge delay by getting rapid kills with grenade launcher or rocket launchers. If I get a bunch of kills, then I have a potential chance to generate a warmind cell, and I become charge delay. It's phenomenal. As for my exotic, we're using Claws of Ahamkara. You guys already know this is my absolute favorite. You could also use Eye of Another World, but I personally just love having 2 melee charges. Plus this is kind of like a melee focused build, so I want to be able to use my melee as much as possible. This exotic gives you 2 melee charges. Now as for my mods, we got a minor strength mod. Now we have Focusing Strike, grant class ability energy when you cause damage with a melee attack. So I have 2 melees and then I have all these stasis shards. I'm going to get my melee a lot. As long as I'm causing damage with a melee, I'm going to get class ability energy. As long as I'm popping my rift, it gives me melee energy in return. I also have hand cannon loader, and then I have taking charge, become charged with light by picking up an orb of power. All my weapons are masterwork, so this makes sense to have this mod on. On my chest piece, we got a discipline mod. Now we have heavy handed. While charged with light, regain half of your melee energy. When you use a charged melee ability, you need to make 1 stack of charged with light. This is another way I'm going to be able to spam my melee attack, because once I run out of both my charges of my melee attack, I get half of it back for the first charge. And let's say I pick up some stasis charge, pop my rift, I pretty much have another charge immediately. So I pretty much have like 3 melee charges at all times as long as I'm charged with light. On my legs, we we got a discipline mod. We have grenade launcher ammo scavenger and rocket launcher scavenger. I'm using both of these types of weapons, so I want to be able to get as much ammo as possible. And then we have charged up, so I can have one additional stack of charged with light. Now, as you guys can see, I have 3 unused mod slots right here, mainly because I want to be able to have some flexibility for my ammo scavengers. Let's say if I need to use a machine gun or linear fusion or a sniper or something like that, I want to be able to swap this out right here. Now, let's say that you don't want to use as many charged with light mods or something like that. Another option, if you are using a weapon with Firefly, would be Wrath of Rasputin, because solar splash damage final blows have a chance to create warmind cells. So if you're a fan of warmind cells and you don't want to use warmind cell weapons, or if you don't want to use the charge with light mods, you can just slot this in right here. It opens up one additional mod slot, and there you go. Now you have warmind cells because of the solar splash damage from Firefly, and warminds that create from void splash damage can create warmind cells. Tons of warmind cells everywhere. And on my Warlock bond, we're using a minor recovery mod. We're using double outreach mod, so whenever I use my class ability, I get melee energy in return. And then we got warminds that create, I went over this, but again, void splash damage final blows have a chance to create warmind cells. It's perfect for deathbringer and truth teller because both of them are void splash damage, especially deathbringer because it's really good at ad clear and it's really good at boss damage. So if I need to use some ad clear, obviously I'm going to use that in a panic situation for ad clear. I'm probably going to spawn a warmind cell and boom, I'm pretty much going to clear out every enemy in my vicinity, making me safe and making me be able to recover my health. And onto my Warlock fashion, I went with kind of like a winter robot kind of look right here. We got some fur with the claws, and then we got some vaults of glass. I'm sorry, not vaults of glass, but Garden of Salvation armor on my legs and my Warlock bond. This is a vault of glass chest piece, or headpiece I should say. In case you guys want to see the shaders, here we are. We got Jackarina, Night's Chill, Skelegal, Basalt Toxic, and Night's Chill again. So in case you guys want to recreate this fashion, you guys can just pause it, take a look at my ornaments and my shaders, and there you go, you guys can recreate it. This build is quickly becoming one of my favorites in the game because you guys already know how much I love the Shadebinder melee, which is why I rock Claws of Ahamkar pretty much all the time unless I have to switch off for something like a raid or something like that. I'm pretty much always using Claws of Ahamkar. The fact that they made an aspect that allows you to generate the stasis shards from freezing enemies, and the fact that Shadebinder can freeze enemies so easily, it's just like, it's such a good synergy because you're getting the melee energy in return, then you can use your melee even more. If you have claws and heavy-handed, you pretty much can have like 3 melee charges like back to back, and then if you're using outreach, which I'm using in this build, you use your rift, then you get even more melee energy. It's just so much melee energy, and not to mention the fact that I also have 100 discipline with this build, so if I get in a situation where I do need to use my grenade to, let's say, generate stasis shards, I can do that. And then the little cherry on top is Warmind's Decree. So if I get in a really bad panic situation where there's a lot of enemies swarming me, I can just shoot a deathbringer shot straight up or a truth teller shot. As long as I clear out a couple ads, I'll more than likely spawn a warmind cell. I can blow up the warmind cell and boom, all the ads are cleared. I can then recover my health and get into safety and just keep going to town on all these ads. It's phenomenal. This build honestly makes me feel like I'm unstoppable as long as I don't get too rushed, but then even then I can just shoot deathbringer shot, clear out all the ads, create a warmind cell, and clear out the ads that way. So like really, like this build feel like I have it all. I feel like I have ad clear, I have boss damage from deathbringer, I can blind enemies with truth teller, I have a bunch of freezes, I have grenade, 100 discipline, so I can use my grenade as much as I want. This build literally has a little bit of everything and it's great. I love it. I love it. And with the way I have my mods set up, I have a little bit of flexibility. Like let's say if I need to use sniper ammo finder, I can do that. If I need more warmind cells with the Firefly, I can put on Wrath of Rasputin and I can spawn more warmind cells. So there's a lot of flexibility here. And let's say that the Shadebinder changes or the stasis changes in general do affect PvE, then I can just switch out weapons of heat or Whisper of Hedrons and put in Whisper of Refractions, which is going to allow me to generate more rift energy, which is going to allow me to generate more melee energy, and I can just keep that cycle going. So there's a little bit of substitutions there that I can do just in case they nerf it too much. And another nice substitution is the Bleak Watcher aspect. If you're in an endgame activity such as the Master Nightfall, GM Nightfalls, and you need that Bleak Watcher aspect, I would highly recommend switching to that one because you have 100 discipline and the Bleak Watcher aspect can just stay there and just freeze targets over and over and over again. So you have like a little crowd control turret, you have your melee, you're gonna freeze enemies with the little Bleak Watcher aspect turret, you're gonna get your melee back, you can keep freezing more enemies. Hopefully by then you have another turret ready to go. So there's a lot of flexibility here for whatever situation you're in, and I absolutely love it. So there you boys have it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I have a lot more Warlock build ideas in my mind, and I'm gonna have to change this build up to go ahead and create those videos for you guys. But once I'm done creating those videos, honestly, I might switch back to this build because I honestly think it's that good and it's that powerful, and I feel that powerful using that build, and that's very important for me, is feeling powerful. So let me know what you guys think, and I hope you guys enjoyed. But if you guys like this content, please like, subscribe, and share. It truly helps me out a lot. You can also check out my other videos, links are in the description below. I have a lot of crazy builds, so go ahead and check that out. And you might as well follow my social media. I have a Twitter and Instagram and a TikTok, all at @fat_balloonskis. So go ahead and hit that follow button. But with all that being said, deuces.